Hey everybody, welcome back to another deep dive. And today, oh boy, are we talking about something good today? We're going deep on happiness.
Ooh, I like it.
We found this super interesting article from Psychology Today called The Science of Happiness.
Okay.
We thought, you know what, let's really unpack this.
Yeah.
Let's see what science actually says about happiness and maybe bust some myths along the way.
Yeah, love it.
So get ready for some aha moments. Maybe you'll even discover some happiness hacks you can use today.
I love that you call them hacks because a lot of this really is about practical tools we can use. But first we have to understand the landscape, like what really makes us tick when it comes to feeling good.
Right. It's so easy to fall into those, if I just had fill in the blank, then I would be happy traps.
Right.
But the article jumps right into that. And it's not just about like fleeting pleasure, the quick hit of dopamine.
Yeah.
It emphasizes mindfulness, meaning, and purpose.
Right.
So it sounds a bit deeper than a scoop of ice cream, right?
Exactly. And it challenges us to think about happiness as a balancing act. On one hand, we need those small joys, those moments that make us smile.
Yeah.
But true happiness also involves striving for something bigger, those long-term goals that give our lives direction.
So it's not either or. It's not like indulging in the moment or planning for the future. It's both working together.
Precisely. Think of it like building a house. You need the beautiful finishes that make you happy to come home to, but you also need the solid foundation and framework for stability.
Right.
Happiness needs both those elements to last.
Okay, that's a great analogy. I love that. Now, the article also goes on to debunk some common myths about happiness. And, I think we've all fallen for these at some point. Like, who hasn't thought, if I just won the lottery,
Oh yeah, it's a tempting thought.
everything would be great.
Totally.
But the article tackles that head on.
Right.
It uses that lottery winner example.
It does, and turns out winning big doesn't automatically equal lasting bliss. There's tons of research showing, while there's an initial spike in happiness, many winners end up facing unexpected problems, or even struggling to find meaning in their lives once the excitement fades.
That is so surprising. But it makes you think, right? There's this concept called the hedonic treadmill
Yeah.
that the article explains, and it's wild.
It really is. Imagine you buy a brand new car. That new car smell is intoxicating, right?
Oh, yeah.
But after a while it fades and you barely even notice it anymore. The same thing happens with many things in life, including those big wins. We adapt, we get used to it, and our happiness levels kind of reset.
Oh, so we're constantly chasing that next new car smell experience,
Yeah.
thinking that's what will finally make us truly happy.
Unfortunately, that's how the hedonic treadmill works, and it highlights why simply chasing external achievements or possessions isn't a sustainable path to lasting happiness.
Okay, myth busted. What other happiness traps does the article tackle?
Well, another one is the idea that more choices equals more happiness. We live in a world of endless options, right? And it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that having more choices will make us happier.
Oh, I'm so guilty of that. I spend way too long in the cereal aisle sometimes.
I think we've all been there, but research has shown that too many choices can actually backfire. Instead of feeling liberated, we can feel overwhelmed, anxious, or even regretful about the options we didn't choose. It's called the paradox of choice.
That makes so much sense. So if external things and unlimited choices don't guarantee happiness, where do we go from here?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. The article starts digging into some of the actual science behind happiness, and it mentions this fascinating model called the happiness pie.
Ooh, a pie chart.
Yeah.
I love a good visual. So what does this happiness pie tell us?
Well, imagine a pie divided into 3 slices. Each slice represents a different factor that contributes to our overall happiness. One slice is our genes, our biological predisposition to certain levels of happiness. Another slice represents our life circumstances, things like our health relationships and socioeconomic status. And the final slice, and this is the exciting part, represents our personal choices.
So we're not just stuck with whatever happiness level we're born with or dealt by life.
Not at all. This happiness pie model shows that our personal choices play a significant role in our overall happiness levels.
Okay, now that is empowering. It means we have more control than we might realize.
Exactly. And that brings us to another fascinating concept, the idea of a happiness set point. Think of it as our baseline level of happiness that we tend to return to even after experiencing significant life changes.
So even if we hit a major setback or achieve a huge goal, we eventually gravitate back to this preset level of happiness.
That's the general idea. Of course, we experience fluctuations, highs and lows, but over time, we tend to settle back to our individual set point. It's kind of like our body regulating its temperature. So we're talking about the happiness set point, that baseline level that we kind of tend to return to. And now This might sound a little disheartening at first, like are we just stuck
Right.
at a certain level of happiness? But the cool thing is this set point, it isn't completely fixed.
Right. That's where things get really interesting because the article talks about how we can actually nudge that set point upwards.
We can.
And it's not what you'd expect.
It really isn't. We naturally think, okay, if I want to be happier, I need to focus on myself.
Right.
But the research points in a surprising direction. Compassion and altruism, helping others,
Right.
might actually be the key to shifting our happiness set point higher.
So doing good for others actually does good for ourselves.
I love that.
Yeah.
But how does that work scientifically speaking?
There are a few fascinating theories. First, think about how helping someone makes you feel it boosts your self-esteem, right? Oh, yeah, for sure.
You feel good about yourself,
Yeah.
knowing you made a positive impact.
Yeah, it's like a little mood booster. And it makes sense that it would tie into our happiness long term.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just a temporary mood boost. Acts of kindness and generosity can actually lead to lasting changes in our brains, strengthening the neural pathways associated with happiness and well-being.
Wow. So kindness is literally rewiring our brains for happiness. That's incredible. Are there any other reasons why altruism might shift our happiness set point?
Absolutely. Think about the social aspect. When we help others, we strengthen our social connections, we build relationships, and we create a sense of community. And those strong social bonds, they're crucial for our well-being. We humans are wired for connection, and feeling supported and loved contributes significantly to our overall happiness.
It's like that saying, happiness is only real when shared.
Yes.
Helping others creates this beautiful cycle of connection and well-being.
I love that. And there's another powerful piece to this puzzle, meaning and purpose. When we contribute to something larger than ourselves, our lives take on a deeper sense of significance. We feel like our actions matter, that we're making a difference in the world. And that sense of purpose is a huge driver of happiness.
So it's not just about feeling good in the moment. It's about aligning our actions with something bigger than ourselves.
Precisely. And the article highlights something truly fascinating. The trait most strongly linked to long-term increases in life satisfaction is compassion.
Wow. That really drives the point home. So it's not just about accumulating wealth achievements or possessions. It's about cultivating kindness and compassion.
Exactly. And that brings us back to that fascinating framework we touched upon earlier, PERMA.
Oh, right. PERMA. It sounds like a catchy acronym. What does it stand for again?
It stands for positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishment. And these 5 elements, according to positive psychology research, are the building blocks of a truly flourishing life.
So it's like a recipe for happiness with each ingredient contributing to the overall flavor.
I love that analogy, and each element plays a vital role. Positive emotions are important, but as we've discussed, it's not about being happy all the time.
Right.
It's about cultivating a balance of emotions and embracing the full spectrum of human experience.
Right. It's about savoring those moments of joy, practicing gratitude, and finding ways to cultivate positive emotions even amidst life's challenges.
Exactly. Then there's engagement, which refers to being fully absorbed in activities that challenge and inspire us. Remember those flow activities we talked about earlier? That feeling of being completely in the zone where time seems to fly by.
Oh, yeah. That's when I'm happiest, like when I'm writing or having a deep conversation or even getting lost in a good book.
Exactly. When we're engaged in something we're passionate about, we tap into a deep sense of satisfaction and fulfillment, and that contributes significantly to our overall happiness.
And then there's relationships, which we already talked about in the context of altruism. Those strong, supportive connections are crucial for our well-being.
Absolutely. Nurturing those bonds with family, friends, and loved ones is essential for happiness. And it's not just about receiving support, it's also about giving it.
It's a two-way street, and it goes back to that idea of compassion and connection being key ingredients for lasting happiness.
Perfectly put. And then there's meaning, which we also touched upon earlier. It's about finding that sense of purpose and significance in our lives, feeling like our actions matter and that we're contributing to something larger than ourselves.
It's about knowing why we get out of bed in the morning, having a sense of direction and something to strive for.
Exactly. And this can come from various sources, our work, our relationships, our hobbies, our contributions to the community, or even our spiritual beliefs. It's about finding what resonates with us and gives our lives meaning.
And finally, there's accomplishment. It's about setting goals and striving towards them, achieving things we're proud of.
Yes, and it's not just about those big external achievements, but also about personal growth and development. It's about challenging ourselves, learning new things, and becoming the best versions of ourselves.
So PERMA is really about cultivating a holistic approach to well-being. It's about nurturing all aspects of ourselves, our emotional, intellectual, social, and spiritual sides.
I think that's a beautiful way to put it, and it reminds us that happiness isn't just a destination, but an ongoing journey of growth and discovery.
This PERMA framework is really starting to click for me. It's like a roadmap for a fulfilling life.
It's a valuable tool for sure, and the best part is we have some control over all of these elements we can actively choose to cultivate positive emotions, engage in meaningful activities, nurture our relationships, find our purpose, and strive for accomplishment.
So it's not about waiting for happiness to happen to us. It's about creating the conditions for happiness to flourish in our lives.
Exactly. We have more agency than we often realize, and that's incredibly empowering.
This has been so eye-opening.
Oh.
I'm feeling inspired to take some of these insights and apply them to my own life.
That's wonderful to hear. And remember, it's not about being perfect or happy all the time. Life inevitably throws curveballs, but having these tools and frameworks can help us navigate those challenges and bounce back stronger.
All right, so welcome back to our Happiness Deep Dive. I feel like we've covered so much ground already, but we're just getting to the good stuff. It's like we've unlocked the secret level of happiness.
I like that analogy. And in this secret level, we get to explore even more practical tools and insights that can help us cultivate lasting happiness.
Exactly. So where do we go from here? How do we take all this fascinating knowledge and actually apply it to our lives?
Well, remember we were talking about the hedonic treadmill and how we adapt to things over time, both good and bad. That concept is crucial for understanding how to cultivate lasting happiness.
Right. So even if we achieve something amazing, like getting a promotion or buying our dream house eventually, that initial euphoria fades and our happiness levels tend to return to their baseline.
Exactly. And the same goes for negative experiences. We might feel devastated after a heartbreak or a job loss, but over time, our happiness levels tend to adjust back to our set point.
So the hedonic treadmill is kind of a double-edged sword. It explains why those big life events, both positive and negative, don't necessarily lead to lasting changes in our happiness levels.
That's a great way to put it, but this knowledge is actually empowering. If we understand how the hedonic treadmill works, we can use it to our advantage.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How can we outsmart the hedonic treadmill? Give us those happiness hacks.
One powerful strategy is to shift our focus from material possessions to experiences. Think about it. That new gadget might bring a temporary thrill, but the joy of a memorable experience like a trip with loved ones or a concert you'll never forget tends to linger much longer.
That makes total sense. Experiences create lasting memories and emotions that we can cherish for years to come, and they often involve connecting with others, which we know is crucial for happiness.
Precisely, another strategy is to cultivate a practice of gratitude. By actively appreciating what we have, we can counteract that tendency to always want more, which is often fueled by the hedonic treadmill.
It's about shifting our perspective from scarcity to abundance, right? Instead of focusing on what we lack, we can choose to appreciate the blessings in our lives.
Exactly. And there are so many simple ways to cultivate gratitude. Keeping a gratitude journal, writing thank you notes, or simply taking a moment each day to reflect on the things you're grateful for can have a profound impact on your overall well-being.
It's like training our brains to focus on the positive, which can help us feel happier and more content.
Absolutely. And then there's the power of savoring. We talked about those small everyday joys earlier, like a beautiful sunset, a delicious meal, or a heartwarming conversation with a loved one. Intentionally savoring those moments, really taking the time to appreciate them, can prolong their positive effects and boost our overall happiness.
It's about being present in the moment and truly experiencing the joy that's already around us.
Exactly. And it's something we can practice every day, no matter what our circumstances are.
I love that it's a reminder that happiness isn't something we have to chase after. It's something we can cultivate right here, right now.
Beautifully said. And it all comes back to those core principles we've been discussing. Mindfulness, meaning purpose, connection, and gratitude. By incorporating these elements into our lives, we can create the conditions for lasting happiness to flourish.
This deep dive has been truly transformative. I feel like I have a whole new perspective on happiness and a toolbox full of strategies to boost my well-being.
That's fantastic to hear. And remember, the journey to happiness is ongoing. It's about continuous learning, growth, and self-discovery. Be patient with yourself, experiment with different practices, and find what works best for you.
And don't forget to check out the full Psychology Today article for even more insights and tips. You can find the link in the description below.
Absolutely. There's so much valuable information in there, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. What resonated with you the most? What happiness hacks are you excited to try? Share your comments below, and let's keep the conversation going.
Yes, and if you enjoy this deep dive, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future episodes. We're exploring all sorts of fascinating topics to help you expand your knowledge and live a more fulfilling life.
Until next time, keep those smiles shining and remember, happiness is a journey, not a destination.